Well, David, it is such a pleasure to talk to you as a fellow Canadian. When I saw that you were in the big break, I was so excited. I mean, I was there watching Derek Gillespie win the big break PEI. And so when I saw your name, I went, I have got to talk to this man. So thank you again for agreeing to be on this interview.
Thanks for having me. It's been so much fun being a part of all this and talking to all these people from around the world. I've said before, Big Break's my favorite show, so it's kind of cool to get an inside look at what all the other contestants have gone through.
Oh, absolutely. So, a lot of people don't know you very well yet. So why don't you, in case they haven't read your bio or even seen your video on the Golf Channel, why don't you briefly tell us, how did you get on the big break? What's your background?
My background's pretty much just, I grew up in a single-parent home. My mom has pretty much done everything for me. And the big thing that the show uses is that when I was 16, between my mom and I, we had 7 different sort of part-time jobs. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of, playing golf was more of it wasn't a right. I had to work for it, and, it just going to any tournament or flying around the world wasn't necessarily a given. Mm-hmm. I worked a lot of hours, and my mom worked a lot of hours just to kind of even get me into an event or pay for an entry fee. So that was kind of my backstory. And then also being a Canadian, I'm just fresh out of school at the University of Detroit Mercy, and I've been living the last 4 years downtown Detroit, so I have a different dynamic being whole like Canadian, but also from Detroit. It's kind of going through a rough time right now, but mm-hmm. It's an amazing city. But that was kind of my backstory, kind of with my mom and come from a hardworking family.
Yeah, well, I read in your bio that you were the 2010 Horizon League Player of the Year, so you obviously have the game. What got you to the big break? How did you get on the show?
I was actually in my girlfriend's dorm room at Detroit, and I was trying to set up a business plan because I was trying to get some financial help. And I was looking at mini tours and schedules, and it's the things that apply to be on the next big break, and I was like, yeah, I'll fill it out. I was looking for the application for 10 years, since 2003 when the show first came out. Mm-hmm. And I applied, and just the general, what's your best golfing accomplishment, who's your role model and why, things like that to get to know you. And they called me and said, would you like to come down to Orlando to do an interview? So, of course, I did. Mm-hmm. And I drove, it was about 20 hours. I drove straight through. Fortunately enough, my girlfriend's sister and her family were down in Florida, so I stayed with them in practice for a couple of days. Went and hit some shots, and they talked to me in front of the camera, and they called me back a couple weeks later and said, you're going to be on the show.
That is so cool. I hear so many stories about how people get on the big break, and they're all different. And that's the interesting thing about the big break is everything is different. The people are different. I'm so happy the Golf Channel is changing things up a bit. And you've watched all these big breaks, and you've seen for yourself that this money is everything format where you're playing for not just elimination or whatever, but you actually have some control because you've got cash that you have to put on the line to move forward. What do you think about the format?
For me, it was really different. It kind of threw me personally right into the fire because the show, when it was filmed, was my very first day of professional golf. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I've managed my money well, but I have a rough time putting up money in case I lose it. I'm confident in my golf game and what my coach and I have been working on, but it was just a really different dynamic for me personally because I don't play in really money games. I play with a couple of buddies back home for $5 a nine.
Yeah.
And usually they don't make me pay because they're like, kid, we'll get you next time.
Yeah, yeah.
So it kind of just, for me personally, it was a very different dynamic. But you could kind of, if you wanted to kind of go, like I believe Will did today, he went $600 on the first shot, and it paid off,
Yeah.
But if it wasn't to, then he's in the hole. So you have a little bit of your future in your hands.
Oh, yeah, very risk reward. And you see people who are obviously gamblers. Oren has made it clear in his pre-show interviews that he's a gambler. But it does definitely bring out different sides of people's personality besides the golf game. It's how much of a risk you're going to take, how much money you're going to put on the line. And I think it makes it a lot more exciting, even though it may be more nerve-wracking for the players.
Yeah, I always felt when I was going into the show, I'm going to have an upper edge on everybody else because I've never missed a shot in Big Break ever. Mm-hmm. You know, it was my favorite show, so I was like, oh, I kind of figured this all out. But you just don't. It's so different. And, you know, again, this format, I wasn't expecting it when I went there, you know. Mm-hmm. And it seems like every season they do a bit better job, you know, more in-depth, more thought-provoking challenges, and the way the season plays out, you know. It's just more, it's almost more pressure mentally than anything, you know.
Yeah. No, I can see that for sure. Well, you know, you said that you've watched every Big Break, and that's terrific. Do you have a favorite Big Break series? Do you have a favorite champion of Big Breaks? Can you just elaborate a little bit more on your feelings about the series?
You know, I watched the very first season with Justin Peters and Anthony Sorrentino, and I guess I kind of, you know, because a lot of those guys on that show were just normal guys, and that's why I felt like kind of the show, you know, pulled me in. Mm-hmm. But I actually liked Blake from Dominican Republic, and then he was on Disney as well.
Yes.
I liked him a lot, and I've actually recently kind of just moved to Orlando and became good friends with Carling, who won Scandal.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, I don't have. I feel a lot of people ask me what my favorite season is, but everyone is different, you know?
Yep.
It's kind of like asking you what's your favorite major. It's tough to kind of compare them, you know, because they're all kind of different. Every format's different. But the guys and the girls season, I like when they kind of mix it up there. Mm-hmm. That's good. But even, I think, season 4 when they were over in Europe, USA versus Europe, that was good. Mm-hmm. And I like Trump because I like Trump, and I became friends with Brie Vega, who won that show as well. So I'm just a big fan of the show. I couldn't really pick out a certain season that I would love so much.
Well, that's the thing about the Big Break is you can love little bits of every one of them because they're all so different. Now you have your same challenges with the glass breaking, and we see that coming up. But tonight's show, you know, really opened up with the whole safe thing and opening up with a combination and the camaraderie of you guys getting together for the first time. Did you know any of those players before you met them that night or that day?
You know what? The only guy that I recognized was, ironically enough, the other Canadian, Kent, my roommate. Mm. He was the only guy who I said, why do I know that name? You know? Mm-hmm. And then I ended up finding out that he played in the U.S. Open, and I'm kind of a big follower of, I'm kind of a golf geek, and I follow everything, and I recognized his name from that, and I've heard kind of around the Canadian scene. So he was the only guy I kind of recognized, but other than that, I didn't know anybody at all. And I was kind of at a different point in my life. You know, when the show was filmed, I only graduated not even a year ago from school. Mm-hmm. So everything was really new for me. I didn't know anybody. It was such an amazing thing to have happen to somebody at such a young time in my life.
Right. No, yeah, and you are the youngest on this Big Break. We've read that. So let's get into tonight's show. I mean, it was, you know, I don't know, but first time I watched the show, and I'm watching Petey leave, and I'm feeling really, really sad about this. This guy looks like he has great scrambling ability, should still be there. Tell me about that day. You know, what did we not see? Was there anything happening behind the scenes that you can share with us about that day without bringing forth anything from the future? But tell us about that day and what it was like before, what was breakfast like, what was dinner like, what did you talk about after the event? Anything you can share.
It was just more so really nerve-wracking because we didn't really know what to expect. And, I mean, who wants to be the first person off? You know what I mean? Mm. That's the one thing. You know, everybody wants to win, but you just kind of don't want to be the first person off. Mm-hmm. I know the thought was, you know, I don't know how the show is going to be portrayed, but the 11 of us became pretty close. You know, I consider the 11 guys almost like my best friends now. We were like, we can't believe Pete's gone because he's such a good player, and he has a great swing and all. But at the same time, as long as it's not you, that was kind of a thought around the campfire, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, what a lot of people didn't know is that when the shots were being picked, we couldn't see what shots were being picked. So luckily enough for me, I was last. I didn't really have to make too many decisions.
Right.
But, we didn't know who hit the green, who didn't hit the green, anything like that. So it kind of put an interesting twist on it, because you can't really judge how other people are doing, if it's, so the first show, what everybody saw, it was pretty much right there in front of you. But it was definitely a day where you could learn a lot, because, PD essentially, he had 2 swings, and then those swings put him in the elimination challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So it's such a fickle game, golf and big break,
Mm-hmm.
That it's a really, I think a lot of us took a lot of learning experience out of that day.
Yeah. Well, good. I hope you've learned a lot for the next episode, because we're going to be excited watching it. And we've been waiting for this one a long time. It seems a long time since we've had a big break, and this one I think has really opened up the series in a great way that's getting me excited about it. There's always drama. We see it in the preludes of future shows, and some of the things that are going on with characters and stuff. But you've watched some of the previous big breaks. You've watched them all. You've seen the serious drama of some of the things like kind of Polly and others. Are we going to get to see some drama in this show?
I like to tell people that you're going to see a lot of golf drama.
Mm-hmm.
It's up and down. The days are up and down. Everybody hits good shots and bad shots. But I don't know how the show is how they're gonna fit it into the hour. All I can say is that from my personal standpoint, I still keep in touch with all these guys on the show. I got a text from the guys throughout the night. We were all talking about the show and how cool it is to see us on TV and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I did an okay job of keeping my focus, and I don't know, I only know what I said. I don't know what anybody else says about me.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's the challenges are set up. They set them up so well. So the way the challenges are set up, they're just built for drama.
Mm-hmm.
But as for personal confrontation, I guess time will tell. But I guess for me personally, I hope that I didn't say anything I'm going to regret. But I feel like I became quite close with these guys, and we all kind of went into the experience looking at it as, we have a great opportunity. Think about everybody who's applied to be on Big Break from season 1 to season 15.
Yeah.
So thousands and thousands of people, and we have the opportunity to kind of try to live out our dreams. So it was really great to have a good group of guys going into it and to share the experience.
That's great. Well, that's terrific. Well, David, this has been terrific. Thank you so much tonight. I hope we get to talk again next week after the show, or during that week after the episode is aired. I watched the video of you and your mom, and I just was so taken by it. And of course, it kind of made me smile when I saw her teaching skating, because I used to be a figure skating instructor myself. So there was a little bit of heart tugging, pulling there going for me. So thank you so much. I am wishing you such great success in this series, and look forward to another conversation down the road. And thanks so much again for doing this with me.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's still not even really real. It's great to do interviews, and I'm just living my dream kind of. So it's pretty neat. I'm honored that you'd want to talk to me. So thank you.
Okay. Well, we'll do it again, David, for sure. Thanks so much.
For sure. Thank you.